Good afternoon. Please, everybody, have a seat. Welcome to the 2018 UGA School of Social Work graduation convocation ceremony. My name's Anna Chayette, and I have the privilege of being the dean of the school, and I am so pleased for us to be here together today. It is a truly wonderful day. Graduates, you have been working a long time, 2, 3, 4, more than 4 maybe years to get to this day. More importantly, you've worked so long to step into your new career as social workers, nonprofit managers, and social work scholars. Let me be the first to congratulate you and to welcome you as colleagues to your new professional role. Now, one thing I know is even though you all worked incredibly hard, you couldn't have done it without the support of friends, family, and loved ones. So I'd ask you to take a moment, turn around, look at your friends, family, and loved ones, and give them a thank you round of applause. I also know that you were mentored and supported by a world-class faculty that's standing behind me, or sitting behind me, but I'd like for them to stand up for a second so you can say thank you to them as well. And finally, this entire event was organized by a committee of incredibly dedicated staff who worked a long time to plan this, so I'd ask you to thank them as well, please. So, family and friends, I know you all know how special your graduate is, but I want to tell you a little bit about how phenomenal this entire graduating class is. With your permission, I want to take a moment and brag a bit about this group of individuals graduating today with a very few examples of all the things they've done. You may not know this, but nearly 60% of our BSW students today are graduating with Latin honors. Our students worked together to organize a day-long social justice symposium in Athens that was attended by over 200 community members. They organized numerous social work-related activities, a letter-writing campaign on immigration that had a profound impact in Athens, a week dedicated to self-care and resilience. And I don't know if y'all are aware of the internship hours that our students have to put in. Yeah, you all are very aware of this. But I bet you don't know that I calculated the total number of hours you put into field this year is the equivalent of $3 million in donated service to the state of Georgia. Huge. And you've also engaged in nationally recognized scholarship, writing, book chapters, journal articles, and presentations. Y'all rock. It's a great group. So this is a group to be proud of, and a group that should give us great hope for the future. I know the older I get, the more hope I get from looking at you all taking care of me in my old age, and it makes me very optimistic about society overall. And we want to stay connected with you. Graduates, you're soon going to be receiving an email. Please don't just toss it away. It's going to be from us because we want to get your permanent contact information. We want to stay in touch, let you know what's going on, be able to send you information about CEU events and those kinds of things. So please stay connected with us. And graduates, I do want to talk to you for just a minute. As you move forward in your future, today and for the rest of your lives, I just want to ask you to think about 2 things. First, use your voice to make positive change for the future. You know, this year we've had a number of lunchtime events called Voices for Change. I hope you'll take those ideas and others like them and apply them to use your voice ethically for change. Use your voice to advocate for your clients so they can access services. Use your voice so unjust policies change, and so that it's clear that as social workers, we do not tolerate discrimination, racism, or any ism or oppression in any form. Use your, yes. Use your voice, grounded in principles of nonviolent communication, to grow in relationship with colleagues and others. Start from a place of genuine curiosity that assumes good intention. Don't rely on social media, but talk to each other and remember one of our core principles is the value of human relationship. Second thing I want to say to you is as you look forward, please remember to stay connected to your roots, to the past that brought you here, both in higher education and in social work. You know, the university as an institution in the West goes back to medieval times, and universities were built right next to the cathedrals, and the early scholars wore robes just like monks did. The hoods that we all wear and the master students that are going to get hooded, they really were hoods back in the days that people would put over their heads to keep warm in the chilly buildings of the medieval era. I'm also told that when early professors lectured, after they were finished, they would turn around because there's a little pocket in the back, and that students would put money in there, and that's how faculty got paid. And if the budget cuts happen, I hate to tell y'all, but that's how you're getting paid. I share this with you because I think that this university link is important, not because it's a link to a church per se, but rather because it reminds us that social work and nonprofit leadership are a calling, linked to something deep and important and historical, and more than just a job. Remember the past, the traditions that built our school, leaders as varied as Jane Addams, Dorothy Height, Bertha Capon Reynolds, Whitney Young, among so many others. As you move forward in your career, remember this and be proud of it. For those of you with social work degrees, you may be a therapist or a lobbyist or a CEO, but identify with your profession. Say proudly you're a social worker. For those of you with nonprofit degrees, remember you were trained, grounded in the values of a school of social work. Be proud. Always remember that your work is a calling and that what you do matters profoundly. And always remember that the School of Social Work is here for you forever and is proud of you and what you do. Thank you. Speaking of proud, it now gives me great pride to introduce our keynote speaker for this graduation, Ms. Deborah Richardson. Deborah Richardson is truly a social justice warrior with a passion for protecting the rights of women and children, particularly in the area of human trafficking. Currently, she's the principal of Deborah Richardson and Associates and faculty at the Honors College of Georgia State University. Prior to that, Ms. Richardson served as senior advisor for partner engagement at the National Center for Civil and Human Rights in Atlanta, and also served as the center's executive vice president. Her background includes serving as the chief program officer of the Women's Funding Network of San Francisco, chief executive officer for the Atlanta Women's Foundation, and founding executive director for the Fulton County Juvenile Justice Fund. Her civic engagement and social justice work has earned Ms. Richardson many prestigious awards, including Spelman College's Change Agent Award, Atlanta Tribune Magazine's Superwoman of the Year, and the Auburn Theological Seminary's Lives of Commitment Award. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Deborah Richardson.
Thank you, Dean Chiat, distinguished faculty, honored guests, the graduates of the hour, families and friends. Good morning. Oh no, good afternoon. I want to begin by sharing a true story. Several years ago, my now ex-husband and I were hosting our blended families for the first time. When I introduced my 5-year-old niece to my new daughter, who was 12, my niece said to her, "Is Aunt Deborah your stepdaughter? Is Aunt Deborah your daughter, and your mother?" And she says, "No, Aunt Deborah is my stepmother." And my niece said, "Are you Cinderella?" I tell you this true and funny story to illustrate the theme of my remarks. What we believe is not always true, without realizing that what is true is not always what we believe. I'm going to repeat that. What we believe is not always true, without realizing that what is true is not always what we believe. And I'll give you a couple illustrations During the 14th century, people believed that the world was flat. We now know that is not true. In the 1930s, the political powers of Germany spread propaganda to create the belief that to their citizens that Jews were a group of people who were a threat to their greatness. After 6 million people were murdered, and 80 years later, we now know that is not the truth. For over 300 years, the political and social religious powers of the United States believed that blacks were subhuman and had neither the intellect nor right to be treated equally. I stand before you as evidence that that belief is not true. Thank you. It is believed that Muslims, all Muslims, are complicit in and have responsibility for the terrorist acts of few, but that belief is not true. In both past and these current examples, most people were or continue to be bystanders, standing by, not willing to say something, feel something, or do something. However, it was then and is now that there are upstanders, the few who believe in the goodness and potential in each of us, who do feel something, who do say something, and actually get out there and do something. As graduates into one of the most revered positions in our society, you have a special responsibility to be that upstander to those without privilege, to speak for themselves, and disperse the rhetoric and myths which continues to marginalize them. This graduation, your graduation, is a milestone that only 9% of the people in the United States have achieved. You have earned a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree that will open additional doors and give you great access. You now have those credentials as an official upstander for justice, equality, and caring toward fellow human beings. St. Francis of Assisi said, "Hope has two daughters, anger and courage. Anger at what is and what ought to be, and courage to make what ought to be come to be." The dean mentioned my long-term passion for ending human trafficking. 17 years ago, I was in a juvenile courtroom and saw a 10-year-old little girl come in, handcuffed and shackled. She had just spent 3 days in juvenile detention. Her crime was that she had been found in the back seat of a van with a 42-year-old man who had rented her for 2 hours for sex. This was a situation that she neither had control over or asked to be in. I was outraged. I could have been a bystander. I could have gone home and vented, as the dean said, on social media. I would have gotten some reposts, some likes. But let me be clear, posting something on social media is not a movement. It takes forming a vision, building coalitions, identifying strategies, and being both flexible and resolute. I used my anger to incite 4 additional women. We formed a coalition. We became upstanders. In 16 months, we had educated thousands of people about domestic sex trafficking. We articulated that the presenting public policy need, and we lobbied our state legislature to pass a law where now pimping and slandering a child in the state is a felony. But we didn't stop there. We were relentless until we raised over $1 million to open up one of the first safe houses in the country for sexually exploited girls. Thank you. That was how we used our anger, converted it into courage to make what ought to be come to be. My quest to end sex trafficking followed me 10 years later to San Francisco, where I met T. She was introduced by a fellow coworker. T and I met over dinner, and she told me her story. At 4 years old, she had been exchanged by a family member for sex in place of drugs. At 5 years old, she was hit by a car due to neglect. That was her gateway into the child welfare system. She was recruited at the age of 14 out of foster care by a man who said that he would take care of her. He would love her. This man became her pimp. At 16, she finally got an opportunity to run away from the pimp, re-enter child custody. Her new foster parents were 2 high school students. With their support, love, she got back on track, finished high school. When she turned 17, they asked, "What would you like for your birthday?" She said to them, "Will you please adopt me?" For the first time, T was finally in a place with people who truly loved and truly took care of her. The behind the scenes in this scenario were social workers. They were the ones who didn't give up on her. They were the ones who fought with her, working many hours and with too few resources, and they did not give up until they finally shepherded her into a permanent home. She now is a survival advocate. She has testified before Congress, given innumerable speeches, is an advisor to young women and organizations, and in 2014, T was named by Time magazine of one of the 100 most influential people in the world. There are many teens out there, and social workers are indeed their first and last line of defense. You have chosen a path that is not easy, nor without sacrifice, and your personal commitment has brought you to this moment. Our current social and political landscape uses the strategy of divisiveness, speaks the beliefs that one group is greater than the other, spreads the untruth that a group that has less resources are there because of their own personal choices, as opposed to the systemic barriers that we in this room know absolutely exist. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single destiny of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all directly. I can never be all that I can be until you can be all that you can be. You are the thank you. You are the newest inductees in the 9% Club, a very privileged group. My hope is that you will always remember your higher calling, to become angry at the injustice that before you, and garner the courage to be that upstander for justice. I'll leave you with these words. Before you are your memories, and what you walk out of this door, and you will now begin to live your dreams. Look around you at those who love you, and most importantly, know that within you, you have everything you need. The class of 2018, you are the ones that we've been waiting for. Congratulations.
I got you, sister. I got you. Just stay right here.
Okay, thank you, brother.
Thank you very much. You got it. You got to hold on to that.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. That was something that we can all remember. Now, we get to honor some graduates. We'll begin with our hooding of the Doctor of Philosophy graduates. I would invite Associate Dean Dr. Sherry Miller to join me, PhD Teacher of the Year Dr. Orion Mowbray to come to the mic to announce our student's name, and each student will be headed by their committee chair, along with PhD Program Director and PhD Teacher of the Year, there was a tie this year, Dr. June Che.
Giselle Balfour. Stephen McGarity. Greg Purser. Sharina Sasa. Zhaochuan Wang.
Okay. One big round of applause for all our new Doctor of Philosophy and Social Work graduates. Now we'll hood our Master of Arts in Nonprofit Management and Leadership graduates. I'd invite Dr. Toby Mallon, Director of the Institute for Nonprofit Organizations, to come forward to hood our students, and Dr. Christina Yuskidi-Bear to read the students' names. I'm now going to ask something that's going to be kind of hard, but I'm going to ask it of all of you for this and all subsequent hoodings. I would ask that we control our applause so as not to cover over the name of the next person that's going to be announced. Because just like you want to hear your loved one's name called, others do as well. So while I promise you we will scream and yell and hoot and holler when everybody's hooded, if we could keep our applause somewhat controlled so that everybody's name gets heard, that would be really important. Thank you.
One of the best students I've ever had, Matthew Humphrey. Quintera Johnson.
Okay, let's hear it for the Masters of Nonprofit Small but Mighty graduating class. Now it's time for the hooding of our Master of Social Work graduates. Students will be hooded by Dr. David Oketch, MSW Program Director, and Dr. Harold Briggs, Gwinnett Campus MSW Teacher of the Year. Students' names will be read by Dr. Rebecca Matthew, Athens Campus MSW Teacher of the Year.
Jordan Adams. Heba Ahmad. Heather Alana Albert. Chelsea Allen. Melanie Anderson. Caitlin Andrew. Jane Atkinson. Catherine Bailey. Elizabeth Banerjee. Annika Bligno. Catherine Bowl. Taylor Bourne. Micah Branch. Danielle Bright. Leslie Brinkmeyer. Walina Bryant. Ashley Burgess. Shantae Cabral. Mallory Leanne Carey. Mackenzie Cheramonte. Laura Ann Crecelius. Catherine Cunningham. Carly Dale. Anthony Davis. Dharma Jennifer Davis. Angel Dennison. Leanne Diaz. Audretta Denise Clark Giddens. Salis Glikpo Dogbe. Molly Drescher. Jade Elder. Ashley Urkala. Star Jabria Farrington. Miriam Fatahi. Maison Jakayla Fields. Shauna Marie Fleming. Jill Fox. Chloe Fullerton. Brockton James Funky. Deshauna Juanita Fussell Ware. Caitlin Christina Gaddy. Tiffany Johnson Gray. Benjamin Gardner. Abigail Gay. Catherine Gamitro. Mary Gray. Hannah Green. Tamika Justine Ruth Green. Stephanie Guire. Tony Hagan. Kayla Harsh. Nicholas Hartley. Olivia Rose Moore Heath. Janisha Henry. Kaylin Ruth Hilton. Martin Hogan. Madeline Hooper. Jonathan Hunt. Hannah Lane Jackson. Emily Janes. Paris Jerome. India Johnson. Jessica Carell. Lauren Kennedy. Bona Jin Kim. Emma Kimball. Litzy Kimmelman. Okay. Heather Kinsey. Mary Grace King. Jordan Knight. Keely Coogan. Haley Landon. Laura Lassiter. Sophia Lee. Jennifer Lechuk. Margaret Elizabeth Lippum. Andrea Little. Sing Lu. Anna Marr. Nicole Manu. Hannah Mapes. Lady Martinez. Sheena Mayo.
Do you want your middle name? You want Morgan? Okay.
Lindy McCurry. Nordia Maggie. Stephanie Metzger. Amani Janae Mills. Katrina Moody. Jeremiah Morton.
Never the hood.
Molly Murphy. Latricia New. Melanie Norton. Jennifer Chinju O. Modupe Olofosoy. Ellen Pulaski. Owen Pentecost. Ashley Peterson. Madeline Porcher. Sorry, I'm going to say that again. Madeline Porcher. Hannah Quackenbush. Claudia Ravenel. Rebecca Reinhard.
I'm shaking. Good shakes. Good shakes. Don't cry. Okay.
Helen Robinson.
You Rockwell, got it.
Hugh Rockwell. Erin Rossiter Belak. Alana Rothstein. Glenn Saab. Monica Shimoni. Beck Shalizzi. Natalie Schulhofer. Carly Shortland. Margaret Simpson. Tyler Singleton. Rosina Scaria. Jessica Smith. Justin Smith. James Brian Stinchcombe. Elizabeth Stipe. Aubrey Stone. Chris Strickland. Gretchen Stutz. Andre Thomas. Rachel Thomas. Janae Nicole Thompson. Haley Vaughn. Briar Wagoner McCann. Sophia Walker. Rhea Ward. Kelly Warren. Julia Christina Westover. Lindsay Watley.
Send me some good food. Just
Kelly Ann Whitney. Melissa Williams. Meredith Mary Williams. Haley Wingo.
Have a good time.
Stephanie Word.
There we go. Mic's on again. Hello. Congratulations to all our MSW graduates. But wait, there's more. Now we'll honor our Bachelor of Social Work graduates. I'd invite Dr. Leon Banks, BSW Program Director, to come forward to present the certificates, and Dr. Mary Kaplan, BSW Teacher of the Year, to read the students' names.
Nico Ambush. Arden Bakarich. Brittany Blanchard. Shanice Blutcher. Christina Burtz. Allison Carton. Osmira Chipana. Taylor Klein. Sierra Coleman. Alexander Contreras. Allie Davis. Rebecca Davis. Joshua Davis. Nicholas Paul DeVictor. Megan DeBoll.
Hey, Brandy Fillington.
Brandy Fillingham.
Just how you think. Yeah, think.
Anna Finko. Kelly Fogarty. Nicole Hammett. Catherine Harris. Thank you. Aaron Christopher. Ria Hussein. Leona Jackson. Daisha Johnson. Morgan Kim. Grace Haun Ko. Allison Lamb. Marguerite Landford. Jessica Lewis. Shakayla Long. Margaret Porter McAllister. Alden Menick. Michael Money. Bilquis Nakawe. Caitlin O'Hara. Molly Pennell. Stephanie Pierce. Hannah Register. Olivia Ricketts. Brianna Robinson. Rosellen Rockacharlie.
Here I go.
Daniela Salgado dos Santos. Erica Laura Sanchez. Lillian Simpson. Madison Solomon. Is it Grace? Yeah, Grace. Grace Stevenson. Mackenzie Stewart. Conley Ward. Lauren Watkins. La Quinta Welben. Emily Williams. Madeline Yeager.
Well, let's congratulate all our BSW graduates. And I think we need one loud, long, raucous congratulations for everybody. We are so proud of you all. This concludes our 2018 UGA School of Social Work graduation convocation. We'll next have our recessional. We'll ask you to please remain seated until the platform party and all our graduates have processed out. Then please join us in Grand Hall 7 back there for photo ops and getting to meet friends and faculty and having some more time to celebrate. Thank you.